Okay, Demon, Angel, we've had a few complaints. Well, mainly it's been that we haven't covered like Judaism or Hindi or like any other belief systems other than Christianity and Muslim and Islam and shit like that. But
so, how can I help you?
Well, Damon, it's your job. Well, you and Angel's job to find me videos to cover. Do your job.
Okay.
Oh, thank goodness. So what do we got?
The key principles of Judaism, creation, revelation, and redemption, provide us with 3 pathways in which to encounter God.
Oh, 3 pathways to encounter God. Good stuff. Creation, revelation, and redemption. These sound very, very familiar. Anyway, so the Jewish faith, in short, is the same as the Christian faith, where they worship the same God. The only difference here is the Jews don't think Jesus was the Messiah and believe he was just a man. So, really, a lot of the arguments for Judaism are the same as the arguments for Christianity, but let's just hold out hope that this isn't just a rehash of the tired old rhetoric.
So let's take first creation. One of the greatest scientists of our time, Lord Martin Rees, former Astronomer Royal, President of the Royal Society, Master of Trinity College, Cambridge, one of the greatest scientists in the world, in his book Just 6 Numbers, points out that the entire existence of the universe depends on 6 mathematical constants, which have to be so precise that the probability of any combustible source of energy coalescing around those 6 constants is almost infinitesimally small.
The fine-tuning argument. Right. So if you haven't watched any of my previous videos, I'll try to sum it up quickly. The theist argument, and in this case the Jewish argument for God, states that because the universe is so finely tuned for life to the point that if things were different by the slightest tiny bit, that stars would never have been able to form, or the universe would have collapsed back down into a singularity. And to have things so precise as they are would have required design from an intelligent mind that would likewise have existed before the Big Bang to do so. Do I have that right? So, my first thing I want to point out, Lord Martin Rees was atheist. Why on Darwin's evolved Earth would you quote mine from an atheist to defend the Torah? Let's just think about this for a second. If he knows about the specificity of the cosmological constants, and he knows the maths behind them, and has studied cosmology in the fields of astronomy and astrophysics with awards starting in 1984, and still getting awards all the way up to last fucking year with a Wolf Prize in physics, not to mention doctorates from the Trinity College in Cambridge, president of the Royal Society from 2005 to 2010, president of the Royal Astronomical Society from 1992 to 1994, and a master of Trinity College from 2004 to 2012, while he was a president of the Royal Society. And you, a fairly insignificant rabbi of a Jewish learning institute, you thought it was a good idea to quote the guy that knows far better about the universe's fine-tuning than you, so you can support your Torah?
I think he's had enough!
No, I could go on. It's people like Lord Martin Rees that I have to get my information from to debunk these bullshit claims. The actual math that is behind the universe could only have formed the way they are currently. It's not that the universe is fine-tuned, it's that it just fucking works.
Nailed it like the fucking Romans.
Dude, they're Jewish.
Why are you so lame?
True, they are the ones that killed Jesus, so there's that. Moving on.
Equally, the emergence of life itself from inanimate matter is both inherently mysterious and goes against one of the fundamental principles of entropy, which is that the world is gradually, any system gradually loses energy and order.
Stop! That is incorrect. It's not any system losing order or not. With the sun putting out energy, that energy is taken in by Earth. So as long as energy is being put out by something, another system can take that energy and use it for work. Entropy in the entire universe will be slowly turning energy into other forms of energy that can't do work, of course. But to claim entropy would always work to disorder in a system like ours is just plain wrong. In short, even in a system going through entropy, there are and will be pockets of gaining energy as long as the overall system is moving to entropy.
Now, biology works in the exactly opposite way, from very simple organisms to ever-increasing organisms of self-organizing complexity.
Exactly, and that is fine.
So if that didn't have an intelligent creator, we would have no way of understanding it at all. So if you look at creation, you realize why it was that Francis Collins, who headed the Human Genome Decoding Project, began it as an atheist and ended it as a religious believer.
You lying piece of shit. That isn't why he converted at all. He converted because he saw how faith helped his patients, and after reading books by C.S. Lewis, who was an evangelical Christian. Dude, do your research. You're supposed to be promoting Judaism.
So if you look at creation, the simplest explanation, and I don't know of any other, for its fine-tuning for the emergence of life, is an intelligent creator.
Then you didn't look hard enough and kept your blinders on.
And you don't need to invoke doubtful concepts like intelligent design. There's just no other way of explaining how it happened to be like that.
What?
And you don't need to invoke doubtful concepts like intelligent design. There's just no other way of explaining how it happened to be like that.
You're arguing for intelligent design via fine-tuning and saying you don't need to invoke intelligent design? Did something happen to you? I can only think of mental or physical trauma. Here, show me where on this bunny that God touched you.
Secondly, in terms of revelation, the Torah. Look at Judaism.
Sure, let's have a look at Judaism. The Torah tells a story of the people of Israel being put into slavery by God, taken out of slavery by man, made to wander the desert, led by Moses until Moses dies because God's best leader wasn't holy enough to have peace in Israel. Why? Because the Israelites were bitching at him and he went to God for help. God said they didn't glorify him while his people were dying of thirst. Hey God, he went to you for fucking help, dipshit. So sure, we can look at Judaism, but I really don't think you want me, of all people, tearing your Torah apart one verse at a time, because we can show some pretty revelatory shit when I get started.
Jews are a tiny people, 14 million perhaps, in the world today. And yet so powerful were the ideas of Torah that they inspired two other great religions, each of which took a part of Judaism, not the whole of it, but see themselves as worshipping the God of Abraham. And that comprises 2.4 billion Christians and 1.6 billion Muslims, far more than half the people alive today. Now, how was it that a man, Abraham, who lived almost 4,000 years ago, who commanded no armies, ruled no empire, performed no miracles, uttered no world-changing prophecies, his lessons are so pure and true and eternally valid that they have persuaded more than half the world's population, there is not a single human being who has ever lived who had a greater influence. And if that is not proof through history, empirically, of the truth of Revelation, I don't know what is.
Abraham may not have performed miracles, but there are a few surrounding him, most prominent of which is Sarah giving birth to Isaac. She was supposed to be barren, but ended up giving birth. But the real miracle is that he was the first to promote a monotheistic society by worshipping one of the many gods his parents idolized. Further evidence that the gods of the Canaanite mythology still exist in the biblical doctrine. But Abraham came up with a new way of thinking. One God. So of course, when he gets a following, people are going to jump on that like a $10 crack whore and a paying pecker.
As for redemption,
was that hit on Revelation? All that seemed to be was, looky what these people believed. That's not Revelation, that's just, looky what these people believe. But do go on.
As for redemption, the great open societies of the West were built in the 17th century by people deeply immersed in the Hebrew Bible, whether they be John Milton and John Locke in England, or the great Calvinists in Scotland or in Holland, or the Puritans who made their way in the 1620s and 30s to America. These were all people inspired by Torah to build free societies with respect for human dignity and rights. And that is the clearest form of redemption that we've had. Every redemptive movement that has succeeded, and there have been plenty that failed, like the Russian Revolution, the French Revolution, which were essentially secular movements. Every redemptive movement that's brought freedom to human beings and to human society has been based on the Torah, usually very explicitly.
Lots to unpack here. First of all, the Russian Revolution that started in 1905 and continued to 1917 actually succeeded, so that's out. The French Revolution between 1789 and 1799 also succeeded and has turned France eventually into the power it is today. So, bad examples there, my guy. But there were many revolutions with a Christian ideology that failed, like the Vietnam War that was trying to push out Buddhism and replace it with Christianity, just off the top of my head from a recent video. So, if any of this would be redemption, there's a long road to go to evidence that one.
So whether we look at creation or revelation or redemption, there can be, I think, no doubt that these things are all divine. They are the three ways that point us to God.
I mean, if it works for you, keep doing it. Now, before I close out, I have nothing against the Jewish faith. In fact, I have more respect for the Jewish community than I have for the majority of other religious communities. Mainly because the Jewish community don't go shoving their beliefs into other people's faces or tell everyone they're going to fucking hell. I know that talking about Judaism is just asking for people to call me names or accuse me of being anti-Semitic. Far from it, in fact. The only reason I did this video was because I'm an equal opportunity atheist and I don't have a problem saying I don't believe in whatever faith the human race has dreamed up. But that doesn't mean that I have any hatred against any specific group, and if I was going to rag on Christians every week with very little pushback, I would expect to hold the same position when I talk about another topic that might hit a little closer to home. That being said, if believing in a specific denomination makes you happy, I mean, keep doing it. Keep believing in it. I won't judge you. But if you shove your beliefs in my face, yes, I am going to judge you for that. Now, it was a task and a half trying to find a neutral video to base this video on, because almost every video I came across wanted to talk about why the Jews don't think Jesus is the Messiah. And I seriously think that by the time you got to this video, you've already seen a dozen of those, so repeating the same old arguments over and over would be rather dull. And I don't want to bore you all. I am Corsi, and this is the Fluffy Atheist. Pet those like and subscribe buttons, and remember, if you faith around, I'll help you find out what your Torah really says.